Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the weekly weigh-in where I share my results on my efforts to lose weight from the last week. This week, I wanted to talk about one topic in particular because it relates directly to my conversation with you this week personally, and that is PMS weight gain. Many of us have been there, am I right, ladies, where Aunt Flo is on her way or knocking on our door and all of a sudden we see things like bloating and our clothes getting tighter, and yes, even the scale spiking up for what seems like a completely undeserved reason. First, if this has been your experience, I want to reassure you that this is 100% totally normal and not something you should worry about. And so what I wanted to do, because I am in this exact place in my cycle, I wanted to talk a little bit today about what to do with PMS weight gain. PMS weight gain can happen for everybody a little bit differently. And even for the individual, it can happen on different instances in different months. At least that has been my personal experience. For example, usually I see the height of my PMS symptoms 3-ish days before my period starts, but sometimes I get really lucky and I experience the brunt of my PMS symptoms 4 to 5 days before my period starts, which is very bizarre. It makes no logical sense to me, but I will find that I am moody, I am bloated, my pants are too tight, I feel big, my scale is up almost a week in advance of the actual due date of my period, and then as my period gets closer, these symptoms actually subside before my period shows up. It is the weirdest thing, but it is relevant because this month that is exactly what I am experiencing. My period isn't due for another 4-ish days, and I am already feeling the PMS bloating, and I can feel it in my cheeks and I can feel it in my lower tummy, and you guys, you know what I'm talking about. You know that feeling that I'm talking about. So I don't need to go into detail, but I have certain things that I do based on my experience with my current month of PMS. The first thing I do to combat PMS weight gain, and this may or may not come as a surprise to you, but I make the conscious choice not to weigh in. Yes, did you know that you can opt to skip a weigh-in, especially if you know that it's going to negatively impact your mental health? And that is something that you really want to focus on, especially when your hormones are raging anyway, right? During the time of month when I tend to be more triggered and I tend to be a little bit more emotional and clingy and all of these emotions that I can normally control the rest of the month. And I know, if I know that I'm feeling bloaty or puffy or whatever you want to call it, and I know that stepping on the scale and seeing a number that is higher than I expect is going to just bring me down, I opt out. And that is exactly what I did this week. This is my weigh-in day, but I was like, you know what? No, we are not playing this game because this month I don't feel like I have the mental fortitude to go through with it. There are other months where I could hop on the scale during PMS and not care. And it just doesn't faze me. There's something about this current month that I'm just like, no, because I feel like the stakes are too high. That's probably what it is. I feel like the stakes are too high, therefore I have an emotional attachment to the number on the scale right now, and I'm like, you know what? No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna play that game. So the first tip that you should do, and the tip that I implemented this very instance, is opt out of your weigh-in. So if you were waiting for an actual number, you ain't getting it in this video, but don't go anywhere because we're still going to talk about what to do with PMS weight gain. Because let's say, for example, you did step on the scale and you panicked a little bit. Step 1, don't panic. It's totally normal. Let me say that again. Weight gain during this time of the month is totally normal. It does not necessarily mean that you gained fat. And this is something that I'm going to drill into your heads again and again and again. Fat loss and weight loss are not the same thing. You can gain weight without gaining fat. Weight gain is water, extra food, inflammation, and hormonal fluctuations, and so many other things, too much sodium, etc., etc. But just because you gained weight on the scale, if you're especially near your cycle, that's most likely not fat and nothing that you need to be triggered about or worried about. And like I said, I just admitted that this month I'm feeling particularly triggered by the number, therefore I opted out of the weigh-in completely. And that is totally acceptable. I'm not saying it's easy to be untriggered by the number you see on the scale, right? I'm a very reasonable person. I know that I can still get triggered sometimes, and it happens less and less and less. That's what happens when you take the power away from the scale, but I am not perfect. So sometimes I just know that maybe it's not the right time to have that additional weigh-in, especially when you know it will be up. So step one, know that it is completely normal to gain a little bit of weight during PMS and your period. Thing number two is make sure you are hydrated. One of the things that we can do to guarantee that we are flushing out bloat from our system, it sounds counterintuitive, but drink more water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate to help your body flush out that extra water weight, that weight that's making you a little bit puffy in the cheeks and in the abdomen, and weight that's making your pants too tight. Drink some extra water. Also, eat a little extra fiber. Keep things moving. Allowing your body to have all of the tools at its disposal that it needs to regulate things naturally is super important. So making sure that you can help in any way you can is great. The third thing that I do, and this again could sound counterintuitive, is take a nap or sleep in. During our periods and leading up to our periods, it is not uncommon for us to be very fatigued and very tired. And if this is the case, there is absolutely no shame in the napping game or the sleeping in game. I am personally not somebody who naps. If I nap, I am sick. I can't nap. There's something about it. Can't do it, which is fine. However, I will let my alarm go off half an hour later or go to bed a little bit early and make sure I'm getting longer, extended quality sleep time. And this can actually help impact your weight as well. Poor sleep can impact your weight loss, your current weight, things of that nature. Also, just making sure that you eat a little extra protein and fill up on those vegetables. Vegetables also contain water and fiber and nutrients and things that your body needs to naturally take care of the puffiness situation. And if you have the energy moving around a little bit more, I'm not saying getting in an intense workout. Actually, it's kind of the opposite of what you should be doing. But if you can go for a little bit of a nice leisurely stroll, or maybe participate in some calming stretching or yoga practices, this would be a great way to help stretch out your body, move your body, and get things flowing in your body during this particular time of the month. Now, you might be wondering why these tips sound an awful lot like tips that show up in my other weight loss videos. If you haven't sensed a theme, you should start sensing a theme. A lot of these tips are going to be the same, but you need to hear the reminders because they apply to all sorts of different situations within the underlying situation of controlling your weight. More protein, more fiber, more water, more sleep. All of these things are important each and every day, but it's a really helpful reminder, especially when we are hormonal and feeling our feelings a little bit more strongly. It's just important to remember that these things can help impact those things as well. So, like I said, my weekly weigh-in this week is NA, not available, because I decided that I did not want to negatively impact my mental health in any way when I knew, I could feel, I could see in my body that I was bloated and puffy thanks to early onset PMS. Go me. How lucky am I, you guys? How lucky am I? So I decided not to weigh in. And so those are my results for the week is I did not weigh in, and I have no shame in that game because that just needs to happen. And you know what? If that ends up being a regular thing, if my no weigh-in, if I opt for a no weigh-in once a month, I opt for a no weigh-in once a month, and you get weigh-ins the other 3 weeks of the month. There might be weeks where I'm feeling it and I was like, you know what? PMS or not, let's get on that scale and see what's happening, and I will share that with you as well. But for today, for this week, we have no weigh-in. Tune in next week for my weekly weigh-in as normally scheduled programming. Until then, take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.